outline. The first, which is the definition and the meaning. Second, which is the evidence, pillar and condition of the contract al bayyinah. Third, which is the flow of the contract. And the fourth, which is the translation of the contract. Next, which is the current Sharia practices in banking and finance. And lastly, which is the conclusion. So, the definition of bayyinah, the word bay is actually starting to sell, and inah is mentioning to the facade, which is the sale in appearance only. So, the definition in literally, bayyinah is a sale and buyback. It means that the seller and the sale an asset to buyer to buy back the same asset. From the technically, the selling is the asset which is the market price on the deferred payment, which the intention to sell the same asset to the debtor with the lower cash price, which is meant to settle his debt. Next is a legal evidence. Firstly, from the Quran, Allah has generally legalized sale contract. Ba'da a'udzu billahi syaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa ahallallahu al-bay' wa harrama al-riba means Allah Subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted trade and prohibited usury in Surah Al-Baqarah 275. From the ayah, Allah has permitted trade to avoid usury, so that bayyinah is permitted or harus because it is a contract of selling and buying. Okay, from the jurists, the minority of the Muslim scholar considered bayyinah as a permissible contract. Imam Shafi'i, Abu Yusuf, Ibn Hazmi are the view that the contract of sale is not contrary to the Sharia principle, but from the majority view that such a sale is a forbidden. They are Hanafis, Maliki, and Hanbali, and some Shafi'i. It has four pillars of bayyinah, which is the seller and the buyer. Secondly, merchandise or good. Thirdly, price, and lastly, sirah. For seller and buyer or contracting parties, that means the contracting parties show the legal capacity to enter the arrangement. The contract must be voluntary and not with the coercion. Secondly, merchandise or good, or called as asset. The assets are recognized by the Sharia and valuable. The assets already in existence and owned by the seller, and may be tangible asset or intangible asset. Thirdly, price. The price must be determined at the time of arrangement made. The price must be paid on the spot and deferred payment. And lastly, sirah. The arrangement made must be clear between the contracting parties, and the offer and acceptance may be expressed by appropriate documentation or any other method. I move to the another slide, which is the condition of bayyinah. According to the Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara Malaysia, it is meeting on 12 December 2098 resolved that the bayyinah is still required in Malaysian context. However, market players are required to strengthen and enhance their operational policy and documentation to comply with the future bayyinah is permitted. And bayyinah is permissible subject following three conditions. Okay, what is the conditions? Okay, the first condition of bayyinah, which is the transaction of al-inah, must be strictly and follow the mechanism which is the accepted by the Shafi'i school. And secondly, the transaction item must be not ribawi items, which does mean goods that are not in consonance with the fiqh with respect to the cash or item sold by the weight of the measure. And the lastly, which is the buyer must receive the good before selling it back to the original seller. Flow of Inah is basically Inah have a two contract. Firstly, is the seller. A seller sell asset the buyer in a deferred payment, and the second contract, which is the seller buy back the same asset from the buyer in cash. So this an example from the banking. As you can see, A as a bank and B as a customer. A as a bank has sell the asset to the customer which are at 100,000 ringgit, and the price is included the cost and the market price. So the customer will pay it with the deferred payment. And the second contract, which is a B. B as a customer sell back the asset from the A. A as a bank, as you can see, which that means 90,000 ringgit. Bank will pay the cash to the customer. I jump to the other slide that have two translation or invalid of Inah. The majority of the scholar, including Hanafi, Maliki, and Hanbali, that prohibited the Inah transaction. And about the Inah also, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ibn Hazmi, and Al-Zahiri, Abu Yusuf, Al-Hanafi has a permitted Inah transactions. The Maliki and the Hanbali jurists hold that the contract of the Inah are not valid, not sahih, because according to them, the motive of parties to the contract determine that the legality or illegality of the contract, and it's still under the consideration. The motive of the parties is illegal, and therefore the sale are not valid because the constitution are legal device, which means hillah, to get a loan which interest which should be averted to all costs according to the Sharia. From the Maliki also of the opinion of cancel the sale of the any article when they are contracted parties intend to the make use by the article for an unlawful purpose, such as a sale of arm to people already at war or to bandits. The current application of Inah in Islamic banking and finance product has been used by the Islamic bank as the underlying contract with the personal financing and home financing product. It has need note that the sum of the Islamic product known as a Bai Bismanil Ajil for the personal financing product has been developed for the providing cash assistance, while home financing product has been developed to assist the customer to purchase the house. So, I will discuss to all of you about the basic structure of the personal financing product as well as home financing product that has applied in the Inah. The example of situation above structure, in the first contract, the customer applies for the personal financing of Rn 10,000 ringgit from the Islamic bank. The bank will thereafter provide a product based on Inah contract as an Islamic financing options. The bank will sell an asset as an underlying asset to the customer which Rn 10,000 ringgit. comprising of the cost and the profit of the deferred payment basis. In the second contract, the customer then sells the asset back to the bank to obtain the cash. Other than that, the bank will pay Rm 10,000 ringgit in cash to the customer. And finally, the customer will pay a monthly installment to the bank for 20 months as agreed between bank and the customer. Secondly, the description above the structure, as you can see, at first, the customer identifies the house that he wants to purchase, usually 10% deposit to the developer. Then, the customer applies for the Islamic home financing with the Islamic bank. The bank will offer an Islamic home financing product to the customer based on Inah concept. The bank then purchases the house as an underlying asset from the customer. The second, the bank then pay out of the customer. Third, afterward, the bank sells the same house back to the customer. The payment of a deferred payment basis is monthly installment, as per agreed earlier in the contract between the bank and the customer. And the last, the bank can grant IPRA rebate if any. The customer is certain circumstances, for example, refund yearly settlement to the customer. The conclusion, basically, definition of Inah, it's same meaning, but that it have a dealing with two party. In a situation whereby a person sells something to another individual for a particular price, varied payment, and the former then purchase back the latter and the lesser value by note, and as a result, the latter will get the cash and get obligation to pay the debt to the former. Inah actually contract is still applied among some students, some financing institutions in Malaysia, even though the application has been criticized from many Sharia scholars around the world, based on the view of Shafi'i jurists that the contract is authorized in Islam as fulfilled the meaning and the sale and the purchase between seller and purchaser. As most significant point that follow that need to be put in concept, it is the sequence of two contracts, whereby the date and time and contract should be observed very well.